Hello and welcome to My Mom's Basement, presented by Barstool Sports, and a very special Nerd News and Night of the Seven Kingdoms recap edition of My Mom's Basement. It is Robbie, Fox, and Clem back again. I'm in the Pup Punk studio, getting ready to go out to Las Vegas for the entire week. Patty the Batty, hoping to bring home gold out in Vegas. Clem, how we doing?
Doing good. Like we'll talk about with Nikki, random thrown into our lap, which was nice. I am in construction land. You're going to be in Sin City. A lot of stuff going on in the basement, and as you alluded to, a lot of stuff going on in the nerd world. Some of it I don't think we're even going to know. There's going to be a lot of stuff coming out that no one really knows about, or stuff we just were like, oh, this came out on streaming. So we're going to be going through this with you guys. People are asking, are you guys going to do the Knights of the Seven Kingdoms? I was telling people maybe on the weekly show, maybe on Monday. I don't know when we're doing it. Well, today we're recording on Monday, and we'll see where we go from here. But as of now, very excited about this very special episode.
I'm excited as well. You talked about a lot of things going on in the basement. I want to remind everyone we've got Super Critics, a new show with me and Chris Klemmer. We have a Batman 66 episode out now. This Thursday, our Superman 78 episode. It feels weird calling it Superman 78, but now we have two movies that are both called Superman. We will be recapping that. We'll be reviewing it, ranking it among all superhero movies. They're about half-hour episodes. They're going to be exclusive to YouTube, not on the podcast feed. So check that out. Also, tomorrow on January 20th, WWE Unreal Season 2 comes out. And with that comes my interview with Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. A lot of interesting stuff came from this interview, funny stuff and serious stuff. A lot of goofy, funny stories about them when they first started dating. And then there's serious stuff about like their biggest regrets in wrestling. Great stuff. Please check it out if you're interested. But other than that, I think we're pretty much ready to get into nerd news, Clem. We've got a decent amount of things going on in the Star Wars world this week because Kathleen Kennedy has finally stepped down from Lucasfilm after 14 years as the president. Some people are saying, ding dong, the witch is dead. Other people are saying, this is the end of Lucasfilm. There's such polar opposite takes going out there. Per usual, I think we're somewhere in the middle of those.
Yeah, Bob, I'll be honest. When you said 14 years, had no clue. I thought it was longer than that. I thought she's been with these things for like 30 years at this point. So I had no clue. She definitely became the big bad in the Star Wars universe when people were complaining about different stuff going on. I don't know about a lot of the stuff that's happened and I don't think anyone or most people I feel don't know her exact hand in a lot of these things. But let's be honest. We've talked about it on the show a million times. The sequel trilogy, I think it started out okay, then it got very divisive, and then by the end, everyone hated it. There were some good things like Andor, Mando. There was also like 1,000 projects that were greenlit and then killed, and then you never knew what was actually coming. So when it's all said and done, I don't think you could say it was like a good ride, but at the same point, like they did have some hits, and they do have some stuff to build on. So I mean, I'll turn it over to you as like, very much the Star Wars guy of the pod. Kind of give us the obit of her time at the head of Lucasfilm.
I mean, you said it. Like there was some good stuff. There was some great stuff. There was some really bad stuff. There was a lot of mess stuff. I think she got the most flack from Star Wars fans for creative decisions that we have no idea what her involvement to them was. I think she should have gotten the flack for all of those announced and then delayed, canceled, pushed back projects. That is what was indefensible to me. Like it got to the point where it just became like almost the straw that broke the camel's back. Every time you heard a show was delayed or whatever, even if you weren't even thrilled about that show, it just became like, of course it is. Like, I don't have any faith in Lucasfilm getting projects out anymore past the green light stage. It seems like they get scripts that are greenlit and then nothing happens ever again. And then there were stories that would come out where people would say, like Tony Gilroy said, we wouldn't have been able to make Andor without Kathleen Kennedy. At every turn, she was the one that gave us the biggest budget any Star Wars project has ever had, even if it wasn't doing gangbuster numbers in the beginning of season 1 on Disney Plus or whatever. So there's like back and forth stories. I think we probably won't know how she did as Lucasfilm president for like 10, 15 years. I truly believe in like 10, 15 years, we'll have like a tell-all book or something come out from this era where we'll have a clearer vision on what she actually had a hand in. Because again, She gets all the flack for The Acolyte. She gets all the flack for the bad parts of Book of Boba Fett or Obi-Wan or the delayed projects. And she gets none of the acclaim for Andor. She gets none of the acclaim for Rogue One. She gets none of the acclaim for any of the projects that were super, super well received. So it's like a double-edged sword. I think people are pretty hypocritical with how they treat her, especially like they're like, she was never a good producer. That blows my mind. She's like maybe one of the greatest producers in the history of movies. When you look at her actual resume, she did every good Spielberg movie from the 80s and 90s, like that alone. Oh, wow. And she was the only one to put Spielberg in his place. Spielberg says when he was shooting, I think it was around E.T., it could have even been as late as Temple of Doom. He was like, I was so nice to my cast and I was never nice to my crew. I was very short with them. I was impatient with them. I would get frustrated. I would yell at them. Kathleen Kennedy sat him down and was like, knock it off. He said he had never heard a lashing like that since his mother. And he changed his filmmaking style from that day on and was like, I have to be giving everyone my full attention, giving everyone my full respect and patience. I think it's crazy, that kind of, I mean, she talks in this exit interview she did about having meetings with Ryan Coogler, Vince Gilligan, Alex Garland, David Fincher. That's not just Star Wars attracts all of these filmmakers. That's her reach in Hollywood. She had the Rolodex of all Rolodexes and still does. But again, I'm not saying she was great for Star Wars and it's going downhill now. It's like, now it's time to recorrect things and make sure that the project you announce gets actually put out in theaters. Stop canceling and delaying things and us finding out about The Hunt for Ben Solo years after the fact, even though I guess that one was greenlit by Kathleen Kennedy and shut down by Disney, which is still so strange to me. But yeah, she says she put Alden Ehrenreich in an unwinnable position with Solo. She expressed some regret there. She thought Rian Johnson was spooked by the response to The Last Jedi, and that's why he hasn't done any more things in the Star Wars universe. Rian Johnson quote tweeted that, said, not zero spooked. Sorry. That made me laugh. And then she gave like little updates on some of the movies that are on hold right now. James Mangold's movie on hold. Filoni's movie on hold. Hunt for Ben Solo, always a possibility, which I'm like, is it? I don't know. Taika and Donald Glover allegedly both turned in scripts. Simon Kinberg's trilogy is still being planned, and he's still writing that. And then the new movie, Starfighter with Ryan Gosling, could have a sequel, which, like, yeah, no shit. Any movie that's successful could have a sequel. They're making a sequel to The Social Network right now. So all of that is like, I don't know how to react to that, Clem. We have now Dave Filoni has been promoted on the creative side, which we love. And Lewin Brennan has been promoted on the business side. I believe she's been with Lucasfilm for like 20, 25 years, something like that. She worked for ILM for a long time. I think splitting creative and business will be good. I think that's a smart idea.
Yeah, that feels like a win. I will say the loser in all this is probably Disney. And then in a weird way, like even with those promotions, those two people, now there's no more boogeyman. Kathleen Kennedy can't be blamed for everything bad that happens in Star Wars, and everything good is just the Star Wars universe. Or Filoni is like, now he has the resume, right? And everyone loves him. He's going in as like the good parent, but the minute something happens, it'll be a mark on him, right?
Well, I'm thinking it's like Dave Filoni, he's being promoted. I'm pretty sure he's been the main creative guy under Kathleen Kennedy's entire tenure. Like, he was massively involved with The Acolyte, and people are so mad at Kathleen Kennedy for that. It's like Filoni had to do with that as well. He was instrumental in all of that. And he's kind of assuming the role of the Lucasfilm president being the boogeyman already, because there's a report that came out that said he didn't like Andor. And now people are like, wait, what? He didn't like Andor. Lucasfilm immediately denied that. And now people are pulling up clips of Dave Filoni saying a Star Wars Celebration or in other interviews, I think it's fantastic. I love Andor. Look at what they were able to do. I'll say this. I don't fully believe the retraction. I don't fully believe that he hated Andor because it was just a random report, but I kind of like can believe either one. I don't think Andor is right up Dave Filoni's alley. If you look at Dave Filoni's like favorite Clone Wars episodes, it's the really weird, fantastical, mythic things where we look at like the gods that control the Force that he's already bringing into Ahsoka. I don't think it is the kind of Star Wars that kind of pushes mythology to the side and focuses on the nitty gritty, the politics, the little man. I don't think he hated Andor. I really don't. But if you're telling me Dave Filoni didn't like Andor, I kind of took that as like, yeah, it doesn't seem like the kind of Star Wars that's up his alley.
So you're trying to tell me the guy who introduced us to whales that can hyperspace through space doesn't like the grounded shows that give
you know what I'm saying?
I know it makes
like people are like, that's outrageous. Of course he loves Andor. It's like, I don't know. Maybe he doesn't. Star Wars is the fucking most polarizing thing that we cover on this show. We talk about it all the time with like the white and gold, black and blue dress. We're looking at the exact same thing, seeing two different things. It's crazy.
And again, he's no longer can just be the guy in the background that's the chosen one, and everything he does turns into gold, everything she touches turns to shit. Again, I don't know anything about all these little, I didn't even know who Kathleen Kennedy was until she had reached such a level with the fan base that you had to not know. I will say this about Kathleen Kennedy from the bottom of my heart. I thank her because she was part of the infamous Frank the Tank hate rally that got the Mets to beat the Braves. I don't know what part of the hate rally, but he brought up Kathleen Kennedy and like Nimmo hit the home run or whatever. And I was like, thank you, Kathleen Kennedy. So from the bottom of my Mets fan heart, like, you're cool with me forever.
Tell you what I found way more scandalous in the Star Wars universe than any of this is the fact that Hayden Christensen came out and said he was wearing a wig during episode 3. Oh, that broke my heart way more than any of this real life news. And I went back because I had this memory. I was like, I remember watching the behind the scenes for this, which I talk about all the time. It was my favorite behind the scenes featurette on any fucking DVD. I remember him trying on this really long wig that had a ponytail and then being like, it's not going to work. And then they just show him with the iconic hair that we know and love today. And I just figured as a kid, I was like, they didn't go with the long hair wig, so they used his real hair. Apparently that was a wig too. He kept one of them. He's like, I've got one of the wigs still. I'd love to try it on one day. I said, that thing should be in a museum, Indiana Jones style.
Yeah.
But also if it's not in a museum, I'd love to just fucking toss it on for a quick pick. But Clem, I was like, that was the hair that, growing up, you bring a blurry picture to the barber and you say, if you can do this, if that's possible. Now I found that that's not possible.
Yeah, man. Like that. The hair was almost as important to Anakin as his force abilities and his piloting skills. Like that was the aura, as the kids say. It was
the aura. That was the I'll murder a school for you, Padme hair.
Yeah. Fair point, Bob. Fair point. And now, like, the fall from grace doesn't seem as high if it wasn't even his hair.
I know. He had short hair on underneath that thing. He took that thing off at the end of the day after Order 66. He went like it was a bra at the end of a long day.
And he died of baldy, too. He never had the flow.
Yeah, true. Yeah, he died looking like fucking egg. We'll get to Duncan Egg. Another Star Wars story that came out this week, Galaxy's Edge is finally going to include original trilogy characters. It's about time. This is one of those things, even as a sequel fan, it's like, why wouldn't you? You're trying to say that Galaxy's Edge has to be taking place in a canon era of the Star Wars universe? No. We have fucking Battlefront 2 where we can go play Darth Maul versus Rey, and everyone loves that. Why would you ever limit it to only sequel trilogy characters? Then they pushed it out to Mandoverse and got Boba Fett in there. I think Fennec Shand is in there. Now it's all original trilogy. The one nitpick I will have, because all Star Wars fans will have nitpicks, even about great things, Princess Leia will be featured in her battle-ready gear as seen in Battlefront 2. Only seen in Battlefront 2. The fuck are we doing here? The fuck are we doing, Clem?
If you had to choose a Leia garb, obviously most people would probably choose a slave Leia garb. Let's be honest.
You can't do that one. I know you can't put her in the bikini, Disney.
I don't think you want to have her with the bedsheet of New Hope. I think you got to put her in
that, and that's what I thought.
And the Endor, like Jedi one, right? We're talking that would be the best case scenario.
You go Endor, Jedi, especially because they sell those ponchos at Disney. You could have those flying off the shelves. You do Empire, Hoth, where she's got the braid around the top, which I think she has in Battlefront 2. Or you do like the later when she's not on Hoth anymore, she just puts the vest on over that. You've got like 3 easy options there. I find it so strange they're going with an outfit only seen in Battlefront 2. It's like a white outfit with a gold vest. It doesn't look bad, but put Princess Leia in one of the iconic outfits we know her from. And I think you're right. They don't want to put her in a New Hope attire. They want her, like they said, battle ready. So they want her to be badass, like show girls you can be a badass, which she is a fucking badass in A New Hope. That's part of the whole thing. She's got a gun and she saves the boys. But to each your own. Endor. It's right there for you. Or put her in the fucking disguise that she shows up in to save Han.
You do.
Put her in that fucking thing and have her hold the helmet on the side. Talk about a photo op. That'd be awesome.
Ooh, I see. If they want, they said battle ready. That was their exact line.
And I think that's the mindset is like, she's got to be badass like the boys, which I'm okay with that. It's fine. That's fine. Princess Leia has like 10 battle ready fucking cool outfits that we recognize.
Yeah. I mean, if it was me and if I could have any Leia, obviously not including Slave Leia, you tell me I don't have to make her battle ready. I think a good like middle part where if you want to really lean into the princess side is you do the medal ceremony at the end of the
Oh yeah.
I think that could work, but that's not battle ready. That's
I thought you were going to say something else. Because my go-to, if you were to say you're not doing battle ready and you want her to have like the princess vibe, I would put her in the Red Cloud City outfit.
Okay.
I think that one's fire. And that one also like kind of feels Disney princessy to me. It's the most color that she wears.
Up here amongst us in the clouds. Yeah. That's the problem with this too. If it's only in a video game, it then brings back the Fortnite vibes and how all that got announced.
And listen, I know guys, we're doing crazy nitpicking here. It's not something that's keeping me up at night. It's just one of those decisions where I'm like, how do you make that decision?
Yeah, and so my big overarching thought on this with the Galaxy's Edge was I understood why they did what they did because they had an active movie franchise with a brand new land. That was cool. You're gonna lead into the sequels. I'm fine with it, especially if it's supposed to have a pulse. That's cool. We've reached a point now where the sequels are over. They've been over for a while. They crashed and burned when they ended. I think you either go where you could have vibes from all three parts of the trilogy, or just lean into the original. At this point, the diehards are going, they're going to be happy no matter what. The casuals, they're going for Luke and Leia.
They want to see Vader. They want a fucking picture with Chewbacca, you know?
Yeah. You got the Falcon there, which I guess does span through the last 6.
Yeah, I guess they did have Chewie. They had R2 and 3PO, but it's what you're saying. They want Luke.
Now this point, give me everything original trilogy now. That's what I think should be the not the theme of the land maybe as much, but like the vehicles. You should have the shuttle Tidarium kind of shuttle for the Imperial side. You should have, if you're gonna have the Falcon, and then maybe like an X-wing from episodes 4, 5, or 6. I think that should be the vibe. Darth is the goddamn center of this world. He should always be the center. And it's crazy. I said this to you. The thing that pisses me off about the way the sequel trilogy ended, it's called the Skywalker saga. But Bob, what is that saga truly?
It's the Palpatine saga.
They turned it into him in a very stupid way, but that's
what turned Skywalker. She's like, no, I'm turning down my legacy.
He's the only character that spans the entire 9 films, single character, and then the only family, right? Because I think which Skywalkers are alive in 9? I don't even remember how.
Kylo Ren.
Okay.
In a way, he's not a Skywalker. He's a Solo, but he's got Skywalker blood.
But at that point, we lost Leia and Luke by episode 9, right?
Yeah, you lose Leia and Luke. Yeah. Tough. It's tough. Listen, it is. If I'm trying to say Skywalker saga, you're trying to say it's the Palpatine saga. It is sort of the Palpatine saga, but I could fucking go into the Force dyad. How I like how they did like House Targaryen versus fucking House Baratheon. If we want to get at the thrones later, they did a little house versus house.
I guess.
That's the same dejected I guess that I gave CM Punk after he was like, I think John Cena's retirement was beautiful. It's like, I guess, man.
It's like, I'm talking about this for another 20 minutes. People probably turned it off after we were really nitpicking the Galaxy's Edge. That, like, honestly, it's like probably $250 to get into that theme park per person.
We're going back this year, though. The bachelor party has to happen before the wedding, right?
Uncle Portnoy. Portnoy.
And then the only other thing I have nerd news-wise before we get into the Night of the Seven Kingdoms recap with Nick Hamilton is Finn Wolfhard hosted SNL this weekend. I thought he did a good job. There were a bunch of funny skits that I thought were great. One of the skits being a Stranger Things focused skit where they're talking about spin-offs and what they're going to do next has the internet acting I mean, I'm just going to say crazy, but exactly as they've been acting since the finale aired, pretty much. Just, it's been chaos on these streets. If you walk into Stranger Things Twitter, it's the gif of Donald Glover from Community walking in with the pizzas. Everything's on fire at all times. They're saying he shouldn't have been joking about the coming out scene because they show, someone playing Will, and he's like, I really like D and D. And they just, it's not even a joke about that as much as it's a joke about how long it went on. That's kind of what the joke is focused on. And then they're really mad. The internet is furious about, they did like a Sex in the City type sketch where it was, the spinoff of of Mike, Luke, and Dustin. Sex in the City, talking about their sex lives or whatever. And they have a little like room joke. Oh, anyway, how's your sex life? And Caleb, who plays Luke, says, oh yeah, she's horrible. Me and Max, she's barely putting in any effort in the bedroom. It's like she's back in a coma. And people said he made an R-word joke. And it's like, no. That is not what that joke is at all. It's like a Sex in the City joke, very clearly like, oh, it's how people talk about their sex lives, whatever. It's just crazy. The Duffers were leaving SNL. People are yelling at them. Never do that again. Never do that again. What's wrong with these people, Clem? Grown adults.
The discourse, I guess you can say, has just made me very happy that I have like kind of taken a chill pill with social media. It's not where it was when I first got into it or got like, let's be honest, addicted to it in like the mid 2010s. We have now reached a point where like, again, we recap Stranger Things, the way everyone felt and talked about the show at the end of 2022, the way everyone talked about it before the final season started. It was all like, all right, this is a show people have kind of forgotten it, or they're complaining about the same stupid thing with the ages. And now it's reached the point where we've seen in other shows, the conspiracy theories, the yearning for different outcomes, the like fan bases, the Byler fan base has become its own crazy, as I'm not going to mention that subculture of another fan base, because even alluding to them had people getting in our mentions all angry. It's just gone to banana land, and I'm seeing it again. I have an 11-year-old daughter in the house, and her friends I told her, just write your own ending. And she's been doing that in a very detailed fashion.
And that's 11-year-old daughter. That's completely normal to me.
It's like, she's writing a Word document to herself.
Yeah. When we start talking about 32-year-old employee saying, I'm going to take some time off and go to SNL so I could fucking yell at the Duffer Brothers, that's where it's like, what's going on here? Start a podcast. Fucking nitpicking on a podcast.
Yes.
Don't go yell at the Duffer Brothers.
That's you put in those hours so then you can nitpick about what part of the trilogies you want to see at Galaxy's Edge.
And I'm sure, start a fucking podcast and people will agree with you. Don't fucking try to ruin someone's night because of it. That's just over the top.
And that was my favorite part of that skit. And again, you can find the skit online.
I thought it was funny. I thought the whole thing was funny.
At the end, they say, listen, we just realized how much money we're going to make through this, how many views we're getting. And they said, we're going to give you prequels, sequels, requels, and all these different, spinoffs. And then at the end, it says, Stranger Things, this is our Star Wars. Because they're just motherfuck this thing for every dollar it's worth. And with that, you get the crazed fan base who has their opinions on every little thing. And the Duffer Brothers need to step down. They got to do the Kathleen Kennedy, step down, have someone else take it, and then the meat. They're no longer the meat shield for whoever it was actually, wasn't it one of the Duffer Brothers got divorced and the wife was the creative force?
Yes, and that's the new thing. People are saying, yes, she was the creative force. Without her, yes, she ghost wrote all of it without any credit. What are we talking
about? Promote her to the new head of creative, just like they did Filoni. And then she is then responsible for every Stranger Things decision. And the Duffer Brothers are no longer the big bags, the Vecnas of this fan base's world. It's crazy, man. It makes me so happy that I don't get into the shows. I basically missed that era of my life. Again, I'm a sports fan who's like, Joe Shane is the devil. He needs to get fired by the Giants. Now we have a coach and everything will probably end up okay. Oh, by the way, I wanted to pose this one to you live on the pod.
Okay.
I need honesty, Bob.
Okay.
How much does it hurt that I have? And listen, Commanders, Giants, listen, we've been in the dumps together forever. So this isn't a football question. Is it kind of fucked up that I now have a quarterback who wears eye black after Anakin Skywalker, I have a defensive end who's used Darth Vader as his like guy, his inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
And now the New York Mets have Boba Fett.
I found out about Boba Fett on Friday when Meek Phil screamed like a little girl throughout the office. Oh my God, we got Boba Fett. I was like, Boba Fett. And everyone just acted like that was so normal. I was like, his name is Boba Fett. And they were like, yeah, Boba Fett. And I was like, I don't think you guys understand what you're all saying right now. His name is almost Boba Fett. And they were like, oh, yeah, it is. I'm very jealous of that, Clem. I'll be honest, very jealous. It reminds me of when I was at my peak wrestling fandom and the Islanders decided, yes, was their thing. I was like, that's my fucking guy, Daniel Bryan, and he's from Seattle. Why is that the Islanders thing? They fucking stole it, and Frankie Borelli was yes chanting in my face when the Islanders are scoring. It reminds me of that. I don't like it.
I honestly think losing Boba Fett to the Mets is going to hurt you more than Soto, because like I'm trying to figure out like we get like the Boba Fett mask and like no disintegration.
Yeah, I'd rather you have Soto than Boba Fett. I might be the only guy on earth that feels that way, but I would rather you have Soto. Yeah. I hope Boba Fett has like a Return of the Jedi like death, though not literal death, but like death in the playoffs. Like his average just falls off a cliff.
Yeah. He's a great clubhouse guy. They said he's a hard worker, just everything you want to get. And he has a great name. Flo Bichette is also his nickname because he has a nice, mane on his head, not a wig like boy Hayden. So, yeah. And by the way, I told Papa Clem, I go, yeah, we signed a player named Bo Bichette. And he's responded 3 times, Bo Bichette? And he goes, sounds like Boba Fett. And I'm like, I didn't know you had that one in you, old man. So, yeah.
Is he like the wars? Does Papa Clem get into the wars at all?
He dabbled back in the day. He's not like a diehard by any means.
Yeah.
But yeah, he obviously, you were alive back then. I think you had to be a fan of the wars. And
does he have like a nerdy franchise that he's really into?
No, I don't, off the top of my head, I think he read this is gonna be tough. I think he was a big fan of reading the Lord of the Rings books. Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
I think he passed along The Hobbit to me when I was young, so I read that. He
said, "Thanks for the toilet paper."
Still using that. That's long over a running book.
All right, before we get into our Night of the Seven Kingdoms review with Nick Hamilton, let's remind everyone about DraftKings. The NFL playoffs are here. They're almost wrapped up, but there's still time to get in with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. They make every moment feel bigger. A running back cuts through the line. A strip sack flips the field. A tight end hauls in the kind of touchdown grab you'll talk about for years. Postseason games shift fast, and with DraftKings live betting options, you can stay right in the moment. Plus, DraftKings has your back with early exit protection. If the player in your eligible NFL prop goes down at any point in the first half, you'll still get paid in cash. New customers bet just $5, and if that bet wins, you will get $300 in bonus bets instantly. DraftKings Sportsbook, every drive, every play, every moment. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code BASEMENT. That's code BASEMENT to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. You could also, of course, bet on the UFC this weekend. It's the return of UFC. First card in 6 weeks. They're on Paramount Plus, so it's $10 for a pay-per-view. Paddy the Baddy's in the main event. He's a big favorite, but there's obviously props and stuff if you want to dabble in that. Very exciting times. All courtesy of DraftKings.
Very excited. Patty's back in our life. Very excited.
Patty's back. Oh, and if you're looking for MMA content at all, it'll all be on the Spin and Backfish channel next week. So we try to separate it now. I've had some comments being like, why don't you do MMA content anymore? I do. It's just all on a different channel. We do a podcast every week. We have a ton of interviews planned. We just interviewed John Anik. We've got a Dana White one on there. Obviously, we'll have a ton of the people on the main card this week. So look out for it there. All right. Let's get into this Night of the Seven Kingdoms review with the legend, Nick Hamilton.
Sir Hammy.
All right, welcome back to my mom's basement, and welcome back for a House of the Dragon. No. For a Game of Thrones. No. For a Night of the Seven Kingdoms recap. That's right. Episode 1, Night of the Seven Kingdoms debuted. We got to get the House of the Dragon squad back together in full next week. Kevin couldn't do it this week, but we had to get Nick Hammy in the basement to break it all down. Not as much to break down on this show, though. That was one thing I noted while I was watching it. It's not like a breakdown show, kind of just a enjoy show.
Thanks for having me back, guys. I did not realize this was coming out until you texted me yesterday, Robbie. Like,
I know nobody's talking about it. Even we're a day after it. I feel like nobody's talking about it now, and it was good. I liked it, but it's just like no buzz at all. Is it football? Is it national championship today? What is the reason this has no buzz?
I feel like it's a mix of that, and then like I have been seeing red carpet stuff, but like never in any of that have they been like, oh, and also comes out on Sunday. Like it's just been like, hey, oh, by the way, this thing's in the background. I thought we had another month at least. And like, yeah, the fact that it came out on a NFL playoff Sunday and the national championships tomorrow or today, like it's weird timing to like premiere a show.
10 p.m. too. I think they currently have Industry as their 9 p.m. Sunday night show. They did not give this the 9 p.m. slot. Interesting.
I didn't realize that. I was watching the Bears lose in tragic fashion. So I just popped it on when that was done and had my heart ripped out. So
Thrones is usually the one ripping your heart out. So it was nice to get it done beforehand, and then you could just sit back, relax, and enjoy. First of all, we're sticking with Thrones. Are you watching the new Thrones show? Yeah, man. I will never remember the name of this show. It's nothing personal. I'm not gonna like take an old man stand on it. It's just I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna say the words in the wrong order. I know how bad my brain is now. So I'm with you though. No hype. We kind of knew about this like a week or two ago, and we're like, oh my God. And it's like kind of our job to know that. So the fact that there were so many people being like, this was completely off my radar. Even last week when the news was like coming out on social media about George R. Martin versus the showrunner of House of the Dragon, the Winds of Winter stuff, no one really, I guess that maybe during like promo, that stuff had come up or was like linked to it, but nobody was like, oh, by the way, we have a new show coming out on Sunday. 10 p.m. start. Let me tell you right now, boys. Not a good idea.
No.
And this is all look like we have the 3 stages of age here, and then Clancy would have been between me and Nick. I don't think this works for basically anyone except for young whippersnapper Robbie, and even he's
it's short though. These are like half-hour episodes.
That is the saving
grace.
This
one was the longest, I think. This one was like 43 minutes or something, and there will not be one this long for the rest of the season.
And the good thing is that next week. And then the Super Bowl week, I'll already be awake for football. But then end of the season, penultimate will get my blood flowing. And then obviously the finale. But, man, it's like that 10 p.m. start. I saw the tweet and was like, oh, it goes live at 10 because my wife wanted to watch with me. I said, oh, maybe like we'll watch at 9:30 if the Bears game ends on time. Obviously went to overtime. But then I'm like, oh, my God. 10 p.m. That is a wild move by HBO. Yeah. And like you said, guys, was that HBO being like not the prestige spot? That is the big spot. 9 p.m. is cleanup on HBO Sunday night.
It's weird.
I feel like it hasn't happened in years because of streaming, but I feel like that spot usually was saved for the comedy. Like Thrones used to always be followed by like something funny. Silicon Valley was there, and then
Herb was there.
What was the one? There was the one that was about like war, but it was comedy. It was like they were going to set off a nuke or something. I don't know. But there was always something funny to follow that up, and that's kind of keeping that vibe. Where
True.
Like this is kind
of a funny show.
It's definitely more of a comedy, but yeah, that the half hour is a saving grace. It was a saving grace when I thought it was at 9, if I'm being honest. Like 10 o'clock is going to be rough for me.
I didn't realize like just how kind of lighthearted the tone of this show would be as well. Obviously, like they're cursing and they're shitting and there's some gross Game of Thrones like stuff. But for the most part, it kind of felt like if Disney made like a Game of Thrones universe show to me. And like I say that in a good way. Like I say like old school Disney, if you want to look at it like that, where I was like, yeah, it was kind of delightful. Like the sets look amazing as always for Game of Thrones. The music was really cool for this. I thought it was way more like acoustic guitar heavy than normal Thrones music. It reminded me of like The Last of Us or even Red Dead music, like a Western type feel. I liked all that stuff. I liked the guy playing the lead. I liked the kid playing Egg. Both seem super likable. The guy playing Dunk, I tweeted, looks like Patty the Batty to me. Yes. Also, just maybe it's just his big lumbering nature. I'm like Patty the Batty mixed with White Boy Rick.
Yes,
from Barstool.
That was
a little bit of them.
That was my first thought. Was White Boy Rick like
right?
Very much got like that same build.
Him hitting his head on everything, that made me laugh twice.
Yeah.
A little bit of a slouch to the boy too, or a little white boy. I was gonna tweet out the yak picture of white boy Rick in the chair, and I'm like, this is a little inside bar stool for the people that have no clue what I'm talking about. But it's funny. This is just a white boy Rick show. I love we have white boy Rick.
Well, he's got his national championship tonight. I hope he wins.
He ate a whole sheep at one point. Like it's him. It's him.
A little. This is for the OGs that watch the show. Little Marshall Erickson in the guy too, like goofy but funny, lighthearted. And you like the guy. You instantly are rooting for this guy from episode 1. And this isn't like a Christian Cole, from what I can tell. This isn't someone we're gonna fall in love with, and he's gonna become like the guy we all hate. This is a guy that you're gonna have fun. It's almost, like you guys said, it's that 10 o'clock comedy-ish thing. It's like the breath mint before bed kind of a thing, which is very rare for Thrones, where we are watching women die in gruesome childbirth and very.
There was no. I don't think there's any squelching in the closed captions, right?
No, not a one.
According to Next Gen Stats, that's the first time a Game of Thrones has not had squelching in an episode in the entire run of all the series.
I thought they had a good job, like making the tone setter. It felt like they were building up to the Thrones theme too, and then they hit you with literal shit.
Yeah,
I was like, oh my god, okay, that's the tone we're going for when he's pretending to be a knight after digging that like shallow grave for his mentor. Stop raping, sir. That's the first thing he says. I was like, what the fuck?
That was great. I was talking to my girlfriend last night. We said it feels like if we got a Tyrion and Bronn, like we used to get like glimpses of their nights, where it would be like maybe 5-10 minutes of the episode. This is like we're just getting a full episode of like their little fun, like off the beaten path adventures.
And the runtime of the episodes, I texted you guys, suggests that there's probably not going to be a lot of filler in this show. No. I think every episode we're going to get some good stuff, being they only have 30 minutes to work with. And like I said, when he goes down to the like the big festival, the big tournament, and you see all those tents, it did give me that like Thrones vibe again, where I was like, I felt like I was in Westeros in a really cool way. I kind of just wanted to like spend more time in that tournament, that festival, going tent to tent, seeing what was going on there. There was some funny stuff. One thing I didn't fully get, and I'm skipping ahead a little bit. Why was that girl supposed to be dead? Is that a fetish thing?
I have no idea.
What the fuck was that?
I was trying to figure that out. It's like, is this just you guys just running?
When they're like, you're supposed to be dead. Why?
Yeah, I don't know if they were practicing or if they're trying to like, this is all the prostitutes. Were they trying to convince someone else that she's dead?
That's sort of what I was thinking in a perverted sense. Were we supposed to know what was going on there, Clem? Did you know what was going on there?
I figured at first, I think they're just kind of, I don't know, like in that scene in particular, I feel like they're just keeping us on our toes. They're fucking with us, the flashbacks, the comedy beats. I kind of added it to that. And then maybe in the play, she's dead. So that maybe, you know, and then, but they're trying to throw us off from the audience coming in because they know we're coming in being like expecting Thrones or House of the Dragon kind of stuff. And then you're like, oh no. Like, we're just having fun here. We're just fucking with you guys. We're just fucking with
the jump cuts were a funny choice, too. We don't have that in Thrones before, where it's almost like Family Guy level jump cuts. Like, remember when we did that? Boom.
And like so much of his story, you can tell it's all bullshit because they show you what really happened. And I do love, and again, I think a lot of the people too, and this might be part of the reason maybe it didn't have as much hype. I think there is some Thrones fatigue. I think a lot of people were like, I don't really know if I want to watch this. We were like, all right, we'll hop in 30 minutes. It's going to work. 10 p.m. might not have felt so good. But you know what? If they give you this kind of stuff, it's breezy, it's fun, and it'll just flow better, man. I had a lot more fun at the end of this one when it's all said and done, some of the House of the Dragon stuff we went through.
How about the Ashford chair scene? That was one of the funniest and most shocking of the episode. He's talking about lowering him asshole first onto the spiked post, and he's like, there's no fucking Ashford chair. I'm fucking with you. That guy reminded me of not Martin Short, the guy from Black Panther, the white dude from Black Panther, Martin Freeman.
Yeah.
He reminded me of him a little bit in that scene. He had that funny, he's in the first season of Fargo, and he has that kind of like sense of humor, that fucked up sense of humor. Not necessarily that fucked up. The drunk Targaryen bastard, I said, bringing the whole vibe down. He's going to be a problem. I didn't like that with the fucking zoom in on the coin. You see the dragon. that kind of gets the blood flowing. Even after House of the Dragon season 2 disappointed people, you show me some Targaryen shit, I'm getting a little excited. I didn't break out the blonde wig for this show. None of us did.
Yeah, no.
We'll have to figure out costumes if we do like a finale recap eventually. But they got to earn the costumes from us on this one.
For sure.
Confession, I asked my wife before we went, I said, do we have like a hat in here that has deer antlers on it? And she was like, didn't even ask why. She goes, because she didn't see it yet. It didn't work out. She's like, we could 3D print something. And I'm like, oh man, we have a whole new. I said, you know what? Like you said, they have to earn my filament. I'm not just going to give away the 3D filament for
I need to make a quote card of that. They need to earn my filament, Clem.
I love that.
And like you guys said too, like in itself, it's like a night show or a medieval show. Cool. And it does make you feel, I don't know if it's because it's more grounded. I felt like I was there a lot more because it's like your brain isn't so clouded with all the information and they're not trying to build this grand story. I felt like I was like in the tent or you were in like that little, fairgrounds or whatever you want to call it. But then when you see the sigils and you see the Baratheon, you're like, oh, I know that. And you see the Targaryen stuff. That was the stuff that like, is like, oh, this is a branded, like it's when you play the video game and it's letting you know, hey, you are in Westeros right now. This has been licensed. We paid George R.R. Martin a shitload of money for this intellectual property. Don't worry, you're in Westeros. So it's like, it does just enough to like loop you back in. Because does anyone know where we are in the time period right now? I think we're in between Dragons and Thrones. Is that right?
I would say it's probably
a lot closer to Thrones, right?
Yeah, it's closer to Thrones. I would say like maybe 80 years before, just because like I know who Egg is. Like,
oh, that's right. Yeah,
because of a conversation that happens in Thrones. Like, I don't know if we want to talk about that. I don't know if that's something that's like.
I know. I got it kind of spoiled for me like today on Twitter. Immediately open up the For You, and it was pointing out the future, what the future might hold there.
Yeah, like we know his family from Thrones. Like they talk about him, and from that, like I kind of know. I don't really know the story. I just like know
no dragons. We have obviously like currently that the eggs are still in the friggin' rotisserie chicken heater.
Yep.
And I looked up. I always try to be very careful looking up family trees and characters from Thrones because I don't want to pull up and see like when they died and whatnot. So I did a very quick lookup of Lionel, the Laughing Storm Baratheon, who we met in this episode, who I really took a liking to. I felt like he was like popped off the fucking screen right away. He was good in The Gentleman, the TV show version of The Gentleman. Very good in that as well.
Do you guys not remember him from the Marvels?
Oh, no? Right. He was in the Marvels.
Right.
Don't bring that up, Mike. Don't bring that up.
I was on his IMDb and I went, oh.
Yeah. But Nia DaCosta, shout out the director of that movie, has the friggin' Bone Temple out. And it's like apparently movie of the century right now. Anyway, I looked him up. It says he's very likely the great grandfather of Robert Baratheon, but I guess the family tree's so murky that they're like, he's probably his great grandpa. We don't really know.
A lot of drunk fucking those Baratheons,
and a lot of like obviously young like fathers. If it's 90 years or 80 years before Thrones, and this is his great grandfather, they're getting babies out there. They're making sure the world is full of Baratheons instead of the redheads like the other guy.
That was one of the things about the first Thrones is they said a lot of this should have been where these actors should have been teenagers, but like you can't have some of the Dany scenes or like Robb Stark was like 15 years old, and that's why him leading those armies was so impressive. But it doesn't make as much sense when you have this fucking Richard Madden looking like a goddamn stud, in his like mid-20s. So that does make sense if they're like teenagers and having kids. I saw someone compare this Baratheon. What's his name again?
Lionel.
They compared him to like it's like a Renly, but with that Robert like edge to him as well.
Yeah,
and I was like, that's a good way to put it.
Every scene with him was like captivating when he calls Dunk up and he kind of fucking roasts him in front of everyone. Very funny. But then you're like, is he actually mad that like he didn't bring a gift? And he's like, I'm here for fucking dinner. And like he laughs at him, and then they do that weird foot stomping dance game. He stomps his foot back, and then they're just drunk best friends.
Yeah. No, that was awesome. And it made me confused a little bit because I was like, is he like the liege lord? Is he the man who sits in Storm?
I also thought that
because he
came off like his tournament.
He gave that Renly vibe of like, this is the brother who's just been able to have all the money, but none of the responsibility his whole life. So he's just fucking around, going to tournaments, like messing with the people. But like it's also like where it's at in the timeline. Like obviously the other Baratheons were like really close to being king and stuff like that. So they were like fighting more. So this is more, I felt like this was more good example of like, yeah, they're not playing for the throne. They're just rich liege lords fucking around, and it's awesome. This is what they do. Like normally,
letting people wear the crown, like throw this on Dunk.
yeah, they're like, who cares? Targaryens are in charge. Let's get drunk. Let's go win a few tournaments. Like, let's have some fun with this.
I like this guy a lot. I really did take a liking to him. And then Egg returns, and I was happy to see him. You know, sometimes immediately you see a little kid in a movie or show, and they're kind of the nagging, like you can't get rid of him character. You're like, all right, I've seen this 1,000 times. When he comes back to camp and Egg is cooking up a fish, he's like, what the fuck are you doing? He's like, I'm cooking a fish. You want some? I was like, I'm in on this kid. I like Egg.
He also like kind of was giving him some shit like you're like worthless. I'm like, yo, that kid caught the fish and it's cooking.
I know,
dude. Like,
yeah. And he's like, where's your fucking canopy, dude? I'll put that up for you too. You should have just bicked it today, Clem. You should have went real Egg.
I thought about I hand up. I did think about that as an option.
And then I like the ending too of them laying down and seeing the falling star and Egg being like, look at that. All the other knights are in a tent right now, not looking at the sky. And he's like, well, fuck you, dude. What he kept saying? You want a clout to the ear or something?
Oh, clout to the ear.
He's like, what the fuck? And then he realized, he's like, wait a minute. You mean none of them saw that? And like that felt very Disney, literally, when you wish upon a star, like Disney. But I thought that was really good. And then I was fucking furious that I stuck around and watched this season on Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Nick, you said the same thing. We watched the whole season on that thing.
I missed it. I'm so happy I missed it. Oh my God.
It was maybe the most spoilerific one they've ever done.
Have you ever seen the trailer for the movie Brothers?
Yeah, when they literally,
the whole movie. And that's what this felt like. It was like, hey, here's beat for beat every episode, because we know they're only 30 minutes. So this isn't just
I hope that was wrong and they're subverting our expectations, and what we saw happens in episode 3. I'm fairly positive we saw like the third act of the finale.
That's the sizzle reel they put out at the end of the season. And it's like, remember all the cool moments? They showed all the cool, like, very detailed shit where it's like,
and like the plot's going in a complete, like, I didn't think the plot was going to go where it's going. It's like they're showing twists.
Yeah.
Why are they showing twists? I'm telling you, if you are listening to this podcast, you love this shit, you don't want to be spoiled, avoid it. If you got to avoid it, episode 1, if you turned it off, I am envious. Avoid all of this season on recaps from this point on.
Yeah, you texted literally right as I was sitting there going, oh my God, they showed it. That's the whole season. Like,
I was yelling at the TV as it was happening, but I didn't want to turn it off because I did feel like it's like our job. Like, we're going to break it down tomorrow, so I should probably see the teaser, right? And then as it was happening, I'm looking at Lady Fox and I'm like, they got to stop showing this. They got to turn this off. What are they doing?
It would be like Throne showing Ned Stark getting his head chopped off. Like, it was like, this is what's happening.
Literally.
They basically did that.
Oh my God.
I'm going to have to text my wife now and be like, because she hasn't seen it, be like, because she loves those like Nextons. And I'm going to say, no way. Let's make it off.
Like the
no one watching
No Way Jose of all time.
Yes.
Also,
if you want a breakdown of this season on or the next on, listen to another podcast. We are not doing that because the book readers already know what happens.
Yeah.
Right?
And this is like a short story too, I believe. And George R.R. Martin said he actually gave them like material that was never put out. He's like, it's not going to have the same issues the rest of the stuff has, where I didn't finish the books. He's like, I gave them more material than they know what to do with.
I like that. I would also say, if you're avoiding spoilers, careful on IMDb. They have what the knights like quotation names are, where like one guy is like the reluctant. I'm like, well, all right. Like that says something about him, where I thought he was going to be a problem, and now I'm not so sure. It's also like a lot of names that we know their last names on there that I'm like, I didn't know there'd be this many of them. I didn't know there'd be any of them. Like, so just be careful looking at that if you're trying to avoid everything.
I liked him being is he just Sir Dunk the Tall? Is that
I think Duncan they
Duncan the Tall? Yeah. I like that too. And he's like, "Is that Dunk? That's a horrible name. Is that short for Duncan?" He was like, "Yeah."
You're
that
right.
was good. How did we feel about the shitting scene itself? I thought it was fine and like funny, subverting expectations. Some people are actually pissed off about this. They're like, "That's horrible. Don't put that in game." I saw on my For You page, they're like, "That shouldn't be in Game of Thrones."
That's not the first time shitting's been in Game of Thrones. That
Game of
type
Thrones is a gross show.
Yeah, that type of comedic shitting, sure, like that. But that was literally them being like, "Oh, here's the theme song. It's this drama."
Yeah.
No, we're doing something different this time. We know that for that. Like I was wondering, I was like, are they just going to do the Game of Thrones song again, like they did for House
I
of
know.
the
I was
Dragon?
kind of rolling my eyes. I was kind of like, "Oh my god, we're really just squeezing all the juice we could get out of this."
That was them telling the audience, "We know what you're looking for, and like we're going to take this a different way." Like,
There's
and
a
I
little
really
bit of
liked
Luke Skywalker throwing that lightsaber over his shoulder, for being honest.
Well,
Stop. Why you gotta bring that up, Rob? Why you gotta bring
I'm
that
sorry. It's like
We're
an
recording-
impulse. I had to
We're
do it.
recording this in backwards order too, so now me and you still have to discuss stuff together. Now you've put the Last Jedi in my head. This is not
I
a
know
good
we gotta discuss Kathleen Kennedy and stuff. If you're listening to
That's
this, you've
true.
already heard us do that. But now we're working with timelines and shit. Now you don't know what my mom's basement's doing next.
I was like, so there's two kinds of shits. There's like a shit, and then there's like the diarrhea, sick, whatever he had. Like that's probably how everyone shit back then because they weren't exactly eating healthy. I imagine they were eating crazy stuff. That was not ideal, but again, we didn't get like death in childbirth.
Yeah.
All these like mature superhero shows like The Boys and Invincible, you're kind of seeing some crazy gross shit anyway. I'm kind of used to this stuff. I mean, I think it was Gen V that had the dude on the toilet, and you're just like, oh my god. So it could be worse. If you're upset about that in Thrones, trust me, it can be so much worse. It's been so much worse, basically every goddamn season. So stop your crying.
I would rather shit than gore. Like 99 times out of 100, I'm sure there's some shits that I'm like, no, show me a broken arm. But most of the time, I think I would rather like a poop joke than see squelching and all the gross words that we've used with House of the Dragon and whatnot. Yeah.
The VFX artists, especially you mentioned The Boys, like they've gotten to be a little too excited about like disturbing the fuck out of us. I think you guys were talking about it. I was like, you need the 4FX version of these TV shows for me to watch because it's too much. Like, give me the TV version.
Where they're like, "God damn your applesauce." Like, wait, what?
And then they cut out 30 seconds of head popping.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm good on that.
Now I will
those
say
were
this.
all the notes I had myself. Yeah, go ahead, Clem.
The only note I had, and this is just from hearing from other people, so I'll give what I've heard from like the book readers and whatever. Great story, like it's going to be just like it is, a lot more fun, likable lead characters, a little more funny, not nearly the dramatic, crazy backstabbing stuff. I'm sure we'll get that because we're in the Thrones universe. But this is something I read this morning, is very lighthearted. It was. I'm talking like Yoda now. It does get darker throughout the season and then to like potentially the second season, which they are shooting now. So hopefully
there's a second season of this?
Yes, the run times are shorter. Hopefully the shooting is shorter and we're not waiting like 3 years to get the next season.
I thought this was a mini series, so that's big news.
I did too until that.
Yeah.
So now I know we have at least 2. I don't know if it's 2 seasons, 3 seasons, but we are at least getting more than this.
They liked it, right? Like HBO's like, give us more of this.
And that was the other thing. George R. R. Martin did not shit all over it like that dude shitting. So like, he doesn't hate it, which usually when he starts like grumbling, that's when the quality does go down, right? So I'm happy we don't have any grumbles yet.
Yeah, but him, I still get mad at him because it's like the quality went down because they didn't have your blueprint to work with.
Yes.
Yeah, everything I've been seeing, it's getting like an 8 out of 10 on like IGN and stuff like that, which is usually pretty good at like what they rate stuff. But yeah, I did. That was another thing on IMDb. I saw like season 2 and I was like, fuck. I'm like, don't put that out till like the end of the show. Just don't.
I know. I literally just said, I was like, yeah, George R. R. Martin said they got so much stuff they don't know what to do with it. Apparently they do know what to do with it. It's another season.
Yeah, they're going to drag it out. But yeah, I do think it will be faster. They don't have to CGI dragons. Like that's
true.
What slows all this shit down. It takes them like a day to export one frame. So it's like,
what's the most CGI they're doing here? Adding more tents to that fucking festival, adding more extras in the background. Yeah,
that's what. I was looking at what other notes I have. That guy, Sir Stephen Fossaway. I had to look up his name. He was in night training. He seems like he's going to be a problem. The way
is he the redhead one that was with his cousin?
Yeah. The way he was like sword fighting, I was like, they got a guy who knows what he's doing because that looked awesome.
Bro, the way he de-sworded his cousin and smacked him in the face, that was the most disrespectful thing I've ever seen.
His cousin was trying to actually like beat his head in with that hammer. Like, and he was just like, no, get out of here. Like, he's going to be a problem. And then there was a couple other like just name mentions that I noticed, like the Dondarrion, Dunk's trainer. He knew a Dondarrion. That's Beric Dondarrion's family, are the man who came back from the dead so many times. And then what was the other one? Oh, I was wondering, do we think that the puppet scene was a reference to our guy Hugh claiming his dragon? Because it kind of looked like that scene.
Maybe. I was wondering during the puppet scene, I wasn't smart enough to put together what it was a reference to, but I was like, is this telling us history that we should know or we've seen before? Because the way they told that story, the way it was like the big fucking fireball came out of it at the end, I like that scene a lot. I thought that was cool.
Kind of looked like Hugh Hammer. It was Hugh Hammer claiming Vermithor. That's what I'll
I can see that.
But yeah,
I could definitely see that. It'd be a cool Easter egg to throw in there.
Yeah, definitely. Where like it acknowledges without. I think they're actually very cognizant this time of, hey, don't ruin the other show that's going on. The way there's that one scene in Thrones that apparently ruins everything. So so I think that was their nod to it. That's my guess on it.
And that is something everyone has to just keep in mind, which I think it'll be easier to do now because it was that way in the beginning of Thrones, is dragons are basically like a mythological thing that no one thinks are even real at this point, because we don't get any. They haven't had them for years and years, and obviously Dany's years from having hers birthed in fire.
This is the Andor of Game of Thrones. Instead of no lightsabers, they're like no dragons.
I like that.
Hopefully it lives up to the Andor of Thrones and being a show that blows everyone away by the end of it. And if this winds up being a show by the end of the season that everyone's watching, everyone's talking about, we will do like some kind of live finale thing. I think we talked about would be fun if it gets to that point. Again, it has to earn the fucking filament. So we'll get there and we'll maybe vote on it when it gets to that point. But I think the plan is to do recaps like this every week. We'll get KFC in here. Maybe we'll get Trent. We'll get White Boy Rick, Connor Griffin. Some of the other Thrones fans in the office would be great to involve them. I mean, White Boy Rick, he has to be in here. So he could be like,
hey, Rick, when this guy said this to you, were you pissed because this happened to you? This is your life, right? Next episode's the national championship in Miami.
Yeah. He has to go against Sir Danny the Brave.
That's exactly it. He's got
all right.
Shield.
That was Night of the Seven Kingdoms, episode 1 with Nick Hammy. Thank you for joining, Nick. And we'll get you back next week to talk about all of this. And next week, we also have Wonder Man. So look forward to that. I think that's halfway through the week next week. I know, the whole season, too. Dropping all at once. So listen, just follow us. We'll try to do a good job of spacing things out, getting things scheduled on the podcast. We'll figure it out. But right now, it's too much for my brain to process.